Hello and welcome to Cooking the Books with Heather. Today we're going to be working out of the second Outlander Kitchen Cookbook by Teresa Carle-Sanders, and we are going to be making asparagus mayonnaise. So it's not a mayonnaise, it's basically asparagus with mayonnaise, with a mayonnaise-based sauce for dipping. I've never tried this before, but we love asparagus. It's spring, so it's the perfect season for it. And I recently tried oeuf mayo, which is something they eat a lot in France. Just basically hard-boiled eggs with a dollop of mayo on it, salt and pepper, maybe some other things. It's deconstructed deviled eggs, whatever. It's delicious. So I decided we would try this since I happen to have some asparagus, which has actually been in the refrigerator for a little while, but it's perfectly fine. I have this plastic cup that just happens to fit it very well. So when I get it, I trim off the ends, put some water in it, and leave it in the refrigerator like that, and it tends to last longer. We don't get, yucky ends. They don't start going molded or anything. So that's a good tip there. And then we're going to prepare this in just a second. But first we're going to do the mayo. So that is ready. It has a chance to kind of sit together a little bit. We have some garlic and a microplane. And we're not even going to use all of this. I've already measured out my mayo. I'm just using plain Duke's, which is my usual. And I'm just going to get some of this into my mayo. And this will, sorry for the bangy. This will be pretty pungent because we're grating it and it is, and it is not cooked. So you do want to go pretty light on that until you try it out yourself. And then the only other thing we need to add to this is some smoked paprika. And I'm going to take this off here. I'm kind of surprised there's no salt or pepper in this portion. I mean, there's salt and pepper in the recipe, but she just says to season the asparagus with it and not the sauce. But you can, of course, do this to your taste. That garlic off of the edge that I put there. Oh. So I'm just going to try to mix this as well, mix it up as well as I can. I decided not to get a whisk out for this, but she doesn't say to do this ahead of time, but I think that would be a good plan, which is why I'm doing it for us, just to sort of rehydrate the smoked paprika and get it all into the mayo. So I'm just gonna I would put salt and pepper in this, but I'm not going to because it's not in the recipe. So we're going to leave this as it is. I'm going to probably just leave it out because there's no need to refrigerate this. We're going to cook the asparagus and that's going to go very quickly. If you're going to make this way ahead of time, definitely put this in the refrigerator, but I'm not going to do that right now. So, and the next thing we need to do is prepare the asparagus. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put these back in here, and as I finish with them, I'm going to put them on the plate. And if you've never prepared asparagus, you can trim off the ends, but a good way to get only the amount that sort of needs to be trimmed is to break it, and it will just break where it's no longer woody. These are pretty thin asparagus, so hopefully they won't be too woody and won't lose too much of them. You can save those tips and use them for, she says, vegetable stock, which there is a recipe in the book for that. We have not made it, but there is a recipe for it, and it's a good base for asparagus soup, which I don't think there's a recipe in here because there's not a page number for that. But okay, these have all been prepared. I'm going to put these over on my stove because we're going to deal with those over there and clean this up. What you want to be able to cook these is a pan where they can lay down in. So sort of a wide, shallow pan. You only need about a ½ inch of water. So I'm going to add that and put it on the stove. So I added some kosher salt to that water. It's coming to a boil right now. And now I'm going to make an ice bath for it to cool down very quickly and not overcook. So again, I wanted something that's pretty long, wide. All my asparagus spears will fit in here. So I'm going to add water and ice. I'm not going to show you this part because I just don't want to move all the cameras, but super simple. You're going to cook these, probably mine for about a minute up to like 5 to 6 minutes if they're the really thick ones. You just want them to be fork tender. And they'll get really bright green. You don't want them to, you know, go past that. You don't want them to be super overdone. You just want them fork tender. So, and we're going to do this in a couple of batches because you don't want to crowd the pan. So you want to simmer them for about a minute for those really thin ones. And then we're going to put them directly into the ice bath. And we'll show you what they look like then. That is it. So these are a little bit floppy. Some are a little floppier than others, but bright green, all done. Pretty cool. You want to leave them in the ice bath until they are pretty cool. You know, maybe a few of these are a little warmer than others, but that's okay. But we're now going to blot these dry. So I'm going to just put them on a tea towel, I think. So I save all my old tea towels and they become prep towels when I don't think they're suitable for, you know, hanging up in the kitchen. And I use them for things like this. So I'm just gonna dry these. She says that you can store these in the refrigerator covered for up to 2 days. I'm pretty sure you can serve these cold or, you know, room temperature. You don't want to rewarm them. So I'm just trying to get most of the water off so they're not. So the mayo sticks. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to put these back on this plate and put them into the refrigerator, probably just covered with the towel because we're going to eat them very soon. So I'm just going to cover these with the towel. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and we will show you what it looks like when we put it all together and let you know what we think in just a minute. On this episode of Cooking the Books with Heather, you watched me make asparagus mayonnaise from Teresa Carle-Sanders' Outlander Kitchen 2 cookbook, her second book. This was a super simple way to cook the asparagus, which I rarely cook it that way. I rarely poach my asparagus. The ones I had were super, super tiny, took just a minute to poach, and then we cooled them off and dipped them in the mayo that we had made previously, which was really, really delicious. I certainly would make it ahead of time to allow the paprika, the smoked paprika and everything to sort of hydrate and flavor the mayo. But it was much better than I would have expected for as simple as this dish is. You use pre-made mayonnaise, you add just a little bit of stuff to it and you let it sit, and then you just poach your asparagus for a very brief amount of time. If they're larger spears, they will take longer. And then you cool them, and then you just have it ready. So it'd be a great, I think it's in the appetizer section. Yep, so it'd be a great appetizer. Put a few on a plate with a little ramekin of the mayo for dipping, or a little bit on top. And there you have it. A great vegetarian, not vegan, because mayo generally has eggs in it, though you can buy vegan mayo, recipe for a elegant dinner party where you could use your hands. A lot of people eat asparagus with their hands, and it's easiest to eat it this way with your hands. So I would suggest that. Yeah, so I loved it. I will certainly do this again. And if you decide to make this, let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you've enjoyed watching me make this, please give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and come back and watch me make something else next week.